All right, fuck it. We're back with the Midnight Pod. It's been a while. I think episode... I don't even know if this is recording me. This is a fucking freestyle setup. I think it's episode 49 or something. Did like 48 episodes in a row. And then... 44 episodes in a row or something. Then had a hiatus. And then started season 2 for about 2 weeks. Did 6 shit episodes. And then decided to launch it again. So this is a potentially reformatted season 2.5 of the Midnight Pod in some fancy fucking boardroom which we've never used before, but
yeah,
I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I've been on this before. I'm Ollie from Saw With Us, For You and For You Advertising, in a couple of agencies, one of which was with Lucas to my right, and I'm also working as a CMO on an e-commerce group that we're trying to grow. Yeah, it's been about a year ago I came on with Joe, maybe longer.
Less. It was like February and you spilled a fucking bottle of wine.
Yeah, I chinned.
I actually met up with you lot that night.
Yeah, it was a bit loose.
That was the loosest podcast episode we've ever done.
Got nearly most
I
views.
could hear your voice
got a lot of
towards the
views.
end of that as well. You
I don't
were
remember
absolutely fucked.
I don't remember the last 20 minutes.
Started cutting down the red wine after that episode.
Yeah, so did I. But that was good fun. So we're back. I'm going to hopefully be on these more regularly if it goes to plan, when you can't find guests.
Yeah, plan is guests and non-guests. Because I think it's therapeutic to do pods. It documents the journey alongside my fucking weekly shitty episodes that people still watch. But just mixing it up. I think it's a surprisingly good networking opportunity as well, doing a pod. When I stopped doing it, I stopped meeting people.
Yeah,
I
it's
was like, hold on, wait a minute. So, yeah.
Yeah, Lucas, go on. You do
Yeah, I'm
your intro.
Lucas. I've been on the pod as well, but more interviewing Matt actually. Run another podcast called Unwind. Also run a creative agency called Hammy Media, and co-direct a TikTok agency for you advertising with Ollie as well. So yeah, that's me pretty much.
Yeah, good to have you here.
I just got a text from, this is not a joke, this is live. I just got a text from my old jewellery supplier saying, "Hey boss, congratulations, England versus Iran, big win, 6-1. So random. Not spoke to this Don for 2
It was
years.
6-2 as well, so... Was it 6-2? No,
Yeah,
it's
I
6
think it was
Yeah, it was
6-2.
6-2. I actually saw something where
He
a
messaged me
guy...
on my birthday. That's quite deep.
It's just such a... Sent him so much business, that's
Yeah,
what you are.
legit.
I've
the
referred
culture.
to about 4 people for you.
Yeah.
I've got a question that I think would be just interesting to like kick things off.
Go on.
Just for, we can probably all go round, because like I found this is something that like resonates with most people. Like, what right now is your biggest problem in business, and what are you doing to overcome that problem?
Who wants to go first? You go first. You already told me it's yours briefly. a minute
Biggest
ago.
problem. Honestly, right now, just not having enough fucking stock.
It's a nice problem, in a way.
It is a nice problem, yeah. I think it's actually very simple. Once you get a proof of concept with like a brand, with one product, like all you really need is more fuel on the fire to make it bigger. And that's like 2 things, more stock and more ad spend. And then you can either kind of wait until you stack more customers and cash and shit, or you can raise money and go quicker, which is why I'm trying to raise more money.
Yeah, you look, you're 100%, 100 miles an hour at all times, yeah.
So that's probably the biggest problem in like a nutshell. And then every fucking problem under that. Like fucking trading standards sent me a letter the other day saying some customers claimed that there's psilocybin in the product, so now they're going to have to do a site inspection from the food crime unit.
Interesting.
That's one of many, but
I mean, that proves your marketing's pretty well on
Yeah.
point. Is maybe
I mean, you've been
on
able
point
to
in some
you've
ways.
had to like fully pull back from that message though, haven't you?
yeah, like I still get, I had a post banned today, like a post removed from Instagram. It said it was selling illegal drugs, even though it was literally just an ad.
Yes.
I think there's always going to be a problem with the aesthetic.
Do you think could you spin up another product to the US and Canada that's more, well, obviously difficult because it's not fully legal there, but like, is that a route that you'd probably go down, or would you keep it completely away from that until it was kind of normalised? And I guess it's quite a big question. You probably do a lot of research around it before.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I want to do a psilocybin rainbow dust.
As quick
That's
as
always
possible.
been the vision. I think that would be like the most amazing supplement of all time.
Yeah, because
But it's like fucking impossible to do.
Yeah, well, it is now. I think it'll be possible in America and Canada way quicker than here, just based on like
Canada
societal
always
norms.
comes first, doesn't it? And then US.
Yeah,
then
I said there's a lot of psilocybin brands in Canada, but you can't like pay with card. It's still like pretty underground. Like you've got to transfer Bitcoin, all this shit.
Yeah,
So it's not like viable as a scalable D2C brand yet. But
cash
eventually
on
it will
delivery,
be.
like they live in
Yeah,
India.
yeah,
Like,
cash on
very hard
delivery.
to track your ROI on ad spend on cash on delivery.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's a decent problem. Well, it's not a good problem when you got subscribers, but it's not the worst problem to have because the demand's clear there, and you say you can do much bigger numbers than you're gonna do. But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I have different across the 3 companies I'm involved in. We have different problems. One of them's related to supply chain for Black Friday, whether we can sustain how much we want to sell, which is a nice problem. And it's
can you reveal which brand that is?
I don't think so. No, I don't know. I don't know because he'll watch this. And I don't.
It's a fat brand in the money Twitter space.
Yeah, it's a big brand in the money Twitter space. Probably could. Like,
Prince
like, the
Cash.
Essence Vault. I actually definitely could. I don't know why I didn't say yes to that because he
Yeah.
already revealed that I work with him. Just because of how quickly it's growing at the moment, and there's one thing about selling everything, but then like selling stupid numbers over Black Friday weekend, but you've obviously got like the way that business is set up is a lot of moving parts that Connor takes ownership of. Obviously, I've taken ownership of the market in there, and don't want to put him in a position where there's a ridiculous amount of customer complaints or anything like that. Not saying that there would be, but it's just trying to balance efficiency with good experience. So that's not really my problem. That's his problem to deal with. I just have to sell it. So he just tells me to turn the ad spend off if it gets a bit too chaotic. Then for Saw's in an interesting position because we're at like 30 people nearly now, and what gets you from 0 to 1 doesn't take you from like 1 to 10. Like at 30, we were just hiring people based off like whether it felt like we needed more people, and like rather than having like some forecast-based numbers, forecast-based projections of like supply and demand. And I feel like now we're at a stage where we need that. So we're doing a lot of like finance work and financial systems, and more of like a roadmap growth plan on like hiring based on like projected value added by person. And then for you were obviously involved in, so you know some of the problems there.
It's a shit name for you.
It's not. The For You page of TikTok. It's a beautiful name.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue. Saw makes sense. Saw.
FYA.
Like for you is like you're missing a word.
For You advertising. There you
Yeah,
go.
I suppose.
It's because the For You page on TikTok, isn't it? That's where it came
Oh, is it
from.
TikTok? Yes. Okay,
TikTok
fine.
specific. So
Yeah, I deleted TikTok.
the problem there is working with so many creators. Like creators are. You've had
difficult,
some
man.
bad experiences with creators.
They're all cowboys.
Like they're just hard. There's just so many moving parts when you work with that many individuals. It's like 20. It's 80-20 principle. 20 of them are really good. 8 of them are awful. And then like one creator we had build our card through Stripe somehow for like 25 grand cash. Just build it.
Like pure scam.
Just build
Money
it
came
over
out
and
the
over again.
account.
Just build us 3.5k, 5 like. 6,
How do they have access to that?
I don't even know.
Mate,
I don't even know
have
how.
no
it happened.
idea.
I'd paid one of their invoices, and somehow they then had our card on file or something, and she just billed us like 6 times with like 3.1k or something. So I've been having to get that back off her, which has been a right ordeal.
Did
but-
she claim it was legit?
No, she was like very apologetic once I pulled it up on her. But it's just like, how do you do that? Like, it's not easy to bill someone for like a stupid amount of money. They're just very like, I don't know. They don't understand business. Like they want paying in 24 hours, even though and they don't read contracts. They don't hit time frames.
Been a lot of trial and error there, like
Yeah.
working out the best system in place to be able to keep reins on these creators. Because like Ollie said, there's just so many fucking moving parts with it, and you know all it takes is 1 or 2 creators to delay delivery, and it's put the whole process out of sync. So yeah, that's been difficult for us to work out how to navigate that, and we've changed our offering several times because of that. I mean, I know some agencies, and again, I don't think this is the best way to do it personally, just because I'm very much a believer if you're creating UGC, it should be like semi-authentic and not like fully scripted. But I know some agencies that, I mean, we've got in-house TikTok editors anyway, but that they'll script everything, they'll storyboard everything, send it to actors, they'll basically record the raw footage, and then their in-house editors will edit that themselves, which again obviously solves a lot of problems. A lot of actors are more professional to work with, more reliable, but again, it's, for me, I don't think you get the best quality creative that way. So there's different ways you can approach it, but it is a difficult one.
You've had some bad stuff. You show me a few things.
Yeah, you've got an interest, because I know quite a few creators in the space now. Obviously, we've got a fairly big network, and I've heard creators like bitching about some of the shit you were saying on Twitter about like, you know, creators should be paid based on performance, which is like an interesting way to look at things. But
TikTok creators.
yeah, like UGC creators shouldn't be paid up front. They should be paid based on the performance of the creative.
I think that's good if you can track it granularly.
I think the issue with that though is that what we found is UGC, the quality of UGC and UGC theory, what makes a good piece of creative doesn't always translate into an ad that is well converting.
Performance thing I was on about TikTok organic. So that's like a whole new market, which I still haven't cracked. I actually paid an agency to do this recently. I paid them like 2 months ago. Still not posted anything, but that was mainly because of shipping and because they chose a creator in America.
Right.
Anyway, long story, but yeah. But for actual UGC creators, I still think a lot of them just don't realise how much of a commodity they are. There's literally 10 million UGC creators.
There is,
like you can't be asking for like you can't be asking for usage rights. Like it's gonna go on ads. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the issue is that obviously there was like a supply and demand issue where there was a lot of demand for creators and not enough creators, and now everyone's kind of jumped on the bandwagon because they've realised it, you know, fairly quick money, easy to make, low barrier to entry. But then obviously, you know, now there's a lot of supply, but then the majority of it is fairly low quality. So yeah,
agencies as well. You get a lot of that in agency, or used to anyway.
Yeah, that's very true.
But it's a 20 principle. Like I said, there's 20% of creators are really good, and you get results.
To be honest though, the most common cold email I get, I must get 20 a day, is I'm a UGC creator, can I create content? I don't read any of them now because our entire system, we use Incense for UGC. That's literally it.
What do you think of Incense? Because we're
doing 120 creatives a week.
It's a lot of
like
videos.
You can't, and like originally I was like manually paying like UGC creators and shit. Now as we do all through Incense, systemized as fuck. We have an editing team in the Philippines that churns it out into performance, and it's just a system. I don't even look at it, and there's like 100 plus. I don't know if it's 120. It's like 100 or something per week. New creatives that this Filipino team churn out from the raw UGC, and then Lucy manages it all. So I don't even look at it now. It's like finally I've actually systemized something.
I was going to say it's taking you 7 years.
Because I'm not a system.
Got there in the end.
Well, like yeah, people. I think UGC creators reaching out to founders of brands. I mean, maybe that works, but I'm just not. I just don't even look at it because why would I want to manually be sorting out content?
It's very low.
They need to understand the level of scale that brands are testing, at least ones that are trying to scale. It's like you're not going to work one-on-one with one UGC creator.
Lowest hanging fruit for UGC creators is approaching agencies, not brands.
Yeah, I agree.
And platforms, onboarding onto as many platforms.
Yeah, just go on Incense. Like, there's plenty of our creators we're paying probably over $1,000 a month because some of them are on like repeat and they're good.
And why Incense is good is because it holds people accountable to like the quality of the work.
Exactly, because it goes into escrow and everything, and like you get like a rating, and it's how it should be.
Yeah,
it's a good platform. On the performance, I read a really interesting Twitter thread. I think it was this morning about how athletic screens. Obviously, they're pretty they have similar business model to you. One supplement.
It's like the most beautiful business of all time.
Just done ridiculously well with a few jars as upsells and a container. Their whole influencer marketing is just paid by performance. They don't do any, or like it wasn't. I don't actually know if like the real top tier, because like Rogan probably gets paid, so like he's not going to do that on performance. But like the majority of their influencer marketing was pure performance. Obviously, that's very different. I feel like if you pair influencer marketing with TikTok, you can really rip some numbers. Obviously, a lot of TikTok influencers. I don't think that's very saturated at the moment. Like some of the fashion brands, like Represent's a really good example. They do it. Pretty much every ad you see from them is a whitelisted influencer ad.
I don't really see ads from them.
I never see it from them other than I see some on Facebook, but see everything they push seems to be whitelisted from other people, which is interesting. Not many brands, you don't see that like as much from brands like doing everything through that method. But I just thought it was interesting that Athletic Greens, this whole setup was performance based. It is harder to do that for content posting. Even TikTok organic, it's hard to do that because it's so inconsistent, I feel.
Yeah, there's not an exact science, even with both paid and organic creative on that platform. You can get pretty close, but it's constantly evolving. I mean, we've found just you can't just what worked 6-12 months ago on as a piece of UGC just isn't working now. You've got to be way more out there, way more obscure. Creative. Like it used to just be, that in terms of like thumb stop ratio and hooks, it was about the hook itself. But I feel now it's way more about that opening visual as well. And you can't just do a fucking day in the life or get ready with me or unboxing video. They just don't really work anymore. You just got, I feel like with our creators, we're like briefing them very much on going really fucking obscure with the visuals in the first kind of 3 seconds. Like throwing money down the toilet or just doing weird shit just works a lot better.
Yeah.
Just realised I sound incredibly croaky. I've not done a pod in like 2.5 months, so I've forgotten how to speak at length.
2 different microphones as well, so he sounds raspy and deep.
This is the worst quality pod out of all the ones I've ever done, and it's the newest one. So it's a new season, but it's not quite new quality yet. But we'll figure it out. Just got to
get back in the swing, back in the flow.
Are we doing random questions then?
We're going to do random questions. I just had
a
few random questions. Obviously, Lucas, did you have something else to say about your problems? Obviously, we touched on ours.
Yeah, obviously,
had a big old
stuff
problem.
For you. I think, again, just cash flow is a big thing there, and just the importance of fucking building up cash in the bank. Obviously, if you can get a runway of 3 to 6 months, and a proper system in place for ensuring that's fucking going up, and you've got a good cash flow position. That's one thing that, again, we're looking at there. But I think, to be honest, on a few things from my side, it's being able to, since we started For You this year, a big thing is just being able to, because unlike Saw, you've disconnected quite a lot from Saw. I'm still very much at the helm of Hammy Media, so it's like it's been difficult to come in, and obviously as we've kind of grown quickly with For You, it's been difficult to then manage 2 agencies and knowing how to divvy that across the 2. So for me, that's been a big thing, and I've been looking to bring in a sales manager to take over the sales side there. Obviously, we did have a head of growth last year, but he'd left. So that's something that we've been looking into, and I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but yeah, had a pretty fucking shocking experience with someone recently and had to fire someone for the first time. Like we've not passed people on probation before, but never actually had to fire someone. So that was a bit of an experience. And I think, again, we've spoken a lot about this, like the importance of that hiring process. And I'm
not good at that.
Yeah, you two are both pretty shaky from what I've heard of this on this.
Well, I've been pretty good other than this one. And to be honest, like the whole process, he was fucking so good from everything that he did from the task stage to, but then I guess the one thing maybe that in hindsight could have done better is going far deeper on
the
individual and culture pillars. Do they align with those culture pillars? And that's the side that's difficult. And I know you said about that article.
Yeah, losers exist, don't hire them. Best article ever written. It's just like
that's savage.
It's literally. It's
is
just
that a famous article or what?
It's a famous article from Silicon Valley. It's literally called. I can put it in like the notes underneath. It's called "Losers Exist, Don't Hire Them," and it's like how to identify a loser in your hiring process, because you don't want to work with losers. It's like asking them. There's like it breaks down 4 or 5 different questions where like a lot of them are. You don't have to use the same 5 questions, but it's like asking these people, probing questions about them as a person and them as their mindset and them as an individual, to work out whether you'd enjoy working with them or if they're a loser. Like that's
it's true though, because like that's
uses.
One thing that I learned from this guy that you can't train. Like someone could be a sick salesperson, which he was, but he just had the wrong mindset, and you just can't fucking train that.
Yeah, he sounded like a bit of a. I don't want to slate the bloke too much, but it was a bit all over the place. Turning up late in his first week, but like,
and every week after that.
like just like 45
I think
minutes.
the issue I found as well is someone that has, and there's nothing, I like promote people having side hustles in my business. Like quite a few people do, and a lot of the stuff that they do actually does really help, you know, what they're doing internally. And I feel like just not putting the reins on people, you know, you get the most out of them and you get that buy-in. But I felt in this case, because of the atmosphere that we have, like we've got a very flexible working environment, but you definitely have to earn that flexibility. And I don't think he quite understood that. And, you know, any time that he didn't feel like he had anything to do, he would just go and start fucking taking calls for his side hustle and spend a lot of his time doing that. So, you know, it's really difficult in that situation to be able to manage someone in the correct way, especially when, you know, someone's working from home 3-4 days a week.
Yeah, that's trust. Yeah, so I think the side hustles for salespeople and side hustles for people who are on service delivery in an agency is very different.
I
Like
agree.
salespeople, you want someone who's very motivated to pursue like outcomes for you and work. Like it's very like allocate your own time to doing things. Yeah, we do the same. You've had some interesting hiring experiences. You got screwed. Well, not screwed. Yours was through a recruitment agency, which is even more interesting.
I mean, I've only ever had 2 PAYE employees, and it was not good. Like everything up to that point was freelance and agency. And right now,
Same again.
yeah, freelance and agency, and everyone right now is fucking killer. I've got Brad, who's creative, he's freelance, not even full time. Florian, who used to watch the pod, he just pitched me on doing customer service, and now I couldn't run the business without him. He's like operations and customer service.
Yeah, that's sick.
I've got Lucy, who does all the content stuff, and she was previously on the pod and probably will be again. Then Simon, who's like finance guy part time, but does like all the admin shit. And then AKM Media, who run all the ads, which
Strong.
you won't like, but
I know,
they
it's
can't fucking spend on TikTok. So we need to have a conversation about that. We're spending $6,000 a day on Instagram, spend 100 a day on TikTok. How does that add up?
Yeah, that's strange. You should be able to spend on
No,
TikTok.
it just doesn't work. But yeah, come back to the hiring. Yeah, I just made the mistake of hiring a full-time paid media person at the end of 2020 and on a salary, and like it was just I would never do it again. I'd rather pay an agency 3 times as much and have more flexibility. And I think actually for media buying you shouldn't have an employee. I think you benefit from having an agency that's seeing other accounts. So that was a big mistake.
Yeah, he came in off the back of a recruitment agency that you paid a whack as well.
Oh,
Did you get that money back from the recruitment agency?
Mike got a portion of it because of when he left.
I don't know if it was your biggest problem at that point, getting that money
No,
back.
it wasn't. It wasn't.
There's a few more snowballing issues in the background.
Yeah, I think people don't realise how many fucking issues there actually are, even when things aren't going that wrong. But that was combined with things going that wrong.
Yeah, because he'd just done loads of lead gen ads, and then he was just...
Yeah, he'd never been held accountable for actual performance.
Yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, it's that...
But he was a loser. Shouldn't hire them.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I wouldn't say that. He was very unprofessional about it all, and it was very bitter in the end. But moving on.
Yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult to hire people, to be fair. I think it's even more... I couldn't imagine trying to hire developers and stuff like that. It's just be so hard.
I feel like what's as hard as that, what we're finding for you, is being able to scale and hire at the correct distance apart. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like it's
finding
really hard to roadmap hiring with scaling and bring. Obviously, it's slightly different in terms of an ecom brand, but with an agency, when you know we've got a lot of lead flow, it's really difficult to build new pods into the system, train them up accordingly, whilst obviously keeping an eye on cash flow and that growth.
Yeah, you can run an ecom brand ridiculously lean if you have like a team of... I think a team of 5 or 6 absolute killers can take you really, really far as an ecom brand, plus agencies and contractors.
Yeah, because past a certain point, it's just automation, isn't it?
Yeah,
and it's
just
doing
doing
a
the
scale.
same thing, but like you can't. There's only so many acquisition channels.
Arguably,
there's only so much content you can make.
The only thing you need more is customer service, probably more than anything. Once you start really scaling,
then like product production probably, and like manufacturing, which is
yeah,
never
and that's
gonna
all
do yourself.
outsourced to me anyway.
Yeah, Whereas an agency, obviously, for every six to eight
Yeah.
clients, you need full 3 more people for what we do, and like trying to balance deal flows way less forecastable than like scale for
Yeah.
an e-com company as well, because we can go like for example November, the end of November, you're not going to pick up many clients because people aren't going to change agencies. But then you can have that you can have that through the year. You can have 2 weeks of signing nobody, then everybody joins in like a 3-day window or wants to. It's like very hard to it's a lot harder to forecast, I think, but it's a good problem to have, I guess. But yeah, it requires quite a robust hiring system, which is difficult. But everyone has problems. It's all good fun.
It's
innit?
like
I
with,
love the
what's his
process.
name, the founder of Gymshark,
Forgot his name.
Ben Francis.
Ben
Yeah.
Francis.
Have you been to the Gymshark shop?
No, not yet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I've heard a lot of mediocre things about it, but I've not been.
It's cool to see. I mean, it's not the best shop in the world. There's better ones out there. But yeah, anyway, segue.
Yeah, he always said, like, for him, the most important, outsource as early as you can the things you're weakest at. And I feel like since we brought on for all of our agencies fractional CFOs, that has been like an absolute game changer just in terms of like forecasting, cash flow, budgeting, etc. I feel like that, and to be honest, as we're scaling, I feel like hiring is going to be another thing that
Yeah, HR
is
definitely.
HR definitely need to bring that in. I feel like they're two really important parts of the puzzle that, again, we're not that experienced at. So
No, so I don't really involve myself in the interview or process with Sawyers because I'm not great at it and I don't like it. So just got someone else. You brought finance on early for Space Goods this time.
Yeah,
Shoots it again.
that was the most important one.
But that,
But
like,
that wasn't me that hired him. Alex, one of my investors, literally hired him.
I suppose.
Didn't hire him, but like helped. He basically said, "I've worked with this guy. You'd be perfect. You should meet." And then we got on, and it made sense.
yeah.
So yeah, that's been valuable.
I just the reason I wanted to work with that CFO is because I asked Adam Reed when we were in Marbella. I was like, "What's been the best hire you've ever made?" He was like, "Fractional CFO," and I was just like,
Just fractional just mean part time.
"Yeah, like just works across multiple businesses."
Yeah, that's what
And
Simon
he
does.
has
yeah.
like insights into loads of different agencies. So he comes in and just is like, "You should put a process in here,"
yeah, he's specialist with just agencies and e-com brands.
which has been really useful.
Yeah, it's really useful. Gives us like a financial report every month, like looking into key KPIs, forecasting. It's really good. It's just a thing not to worry about. Obviously, you still worry, but yeah, it's a big part of the puzzle that is important.
No one likes to go and sit in QuickBooks all day looking at boring reports and numbers. It's just draining, innit? It's boring.
Yeah, it's fucked.
We need a random question. So we're going to go to some random questions. I feel like we're going to need to cut this again.
No, we can definitely cut it.
Energy's feeling kind of low.
Yeah,
I'm off form.
I want to get into some random shit.
I've forgotten how to do a podcast.
Ask some random questions and go into some random shit. We should have definitely planned these more.
Should have written down a few.
I've got loads here. Read through that list and pick some out. It's fat list.
Just yeah. Or you can just read them out.
Oh, I can
And
read
you,
them
you
out.
can read the best ones out, or as in literally to get started, or we can talk
Oh, right,
about them
okay.
first. This is a warm-up episode.
Yeah, you can just.
It's quite a good setup, though. I reckon if you got like a neon light in here. I mean, I'd like to try next door.
We try and
Just
you
like
could
having
also
the
get
corner.
more people in here.
Yeah, it's
Could be
not.
quite
It is
funny.
nice facing each
It's
other.
good having a big table. Like,
Yeah.
actually being able to face someone, because in my setup it was always like looking sideways.
You know what would be a sick
I do miss the pink
episode?
lights though.
Is we should try and do a Christmas episode with everybody who invested in Space Goods.
Yeah,
In one
Lucy had
room.
that idea.
In
So
one-
she wants to come and interview me because I've never met her before. So she's coming to London. How I am with team members is I literally on the first day I met her I started speaking about like my ex-girlfriend and shit. So she knows everything about my life.
You're a transparent man.
So yeah, she knows more about like my female situations and shit than anyone, more than I do. She's a therapist as well as a
Deep
content
connection
manager.
with your content manager there.
Yeah.
So I guess you've both been in fairly stressful situations in terms of like you definitely have. You've probably been in some stressful situations. Like, how do you cope with those? Obviously, Black Friday is quite a stressful period, which is when we're recording this for a lot of owners. Like, how do you cope with stress? I'm not a very stressed out person, and naturally I don't feel. It's just not like how I operate. But like, how do you how do you deal with like high stress? I feel like obviously running a business is a high stress environment, and you can't. I guess like obviously I get stressed, but do you have any like? How do you switch off? What's your route there? Like
this is becoming such a cliche pod, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I don't know if that's a dead topic.
No, it's quite a good topic. We can definitely make it darker.
Yeah.
and more corrupt and more crooked.
Yeah.
I definitely think I've reached my highest stress points in my life, hopefully. I definitely feel more immune than I used to.
Yeah.
Because when you spend 6 months with constant anxiety because your business is going fucked in front of your eyes and the whole fucking world wants to kill you and the Daily Mail at your door, not much stresses you anymore.
Yeah, I remember that period of your life. It was pretty heavy.
But I definitely think working out and running particularly, I didn't used to run then, I was fat. But like even now post-marathon, like I stopped running a bit for like 2 weeks. I was like, fuck this, I can't even sleep. So now I'm back on like sprinting every day and shit. I think particularly cardio helps over just like weights in the gym or whatever. So
yeah, painful like exercise. It's almost like meditative in some way because it's like, I feel like it takes you full focus.
Yeah.
Like some people meditate, but I've got a borderline ADHD. Just can't sit there and just think about nothing. For like 20
it's
minutes.
difficult.
Like,
I do think like having another, like you say, and that could. I definitely think fitness is, you know, aside from this, but having another hobby, whether that be running or it does help if you've got another way that you can disconnect from what you're doing. Because I'd always massively struggled being able to disconnect from work when I was on holiday. Like with my ex-girlfriend, I used to get fucking told off all the time from like being on Slack on the beach.
Yeah,
is that the business version of X on the beach? Yeah. All your customers just come out the water.
Yeah, exactly. But like really struggle. But I've like really made an effort recently to try and actually get other hobbies that are outside of work to try and just be able to fucking get away from it all. So I think if you can find that thing that you're also passionate about outside of what you do in your business, it's a good way to disconnect. I
find routine massive as well.
Yeah, like routine's fucking huge.
Just being like just doing the same things at the same times every day.
Mm.
I find it. I've since moving to London like a few weeks ago. I've not had a routine. It's been chaotic.
Yeah,
but I
regret moving in with you.
Trying to get back onto a routine. It defo helps. Get so much more done, so much more energy. But yeah, you need something. It's hard. It's hard to switch off completely. Just not a massive meditator.
That's what I think. I lied to myself. That's why I stopped the pod. I was like, oh, I ain't got enough time to do it. But then I was like, it's the only time when I'm not staring at a fucking screen.
Yeah.
In like my entire day, other than the gym, is when I'm doing a pod. Because like, I mean, yeah, people switch off whatever, but I'm always on something in it. If I'm not on my laptop, I'm on my fucking phone, refreshing notifications on the brand page and like looking at comments.
Yeah.
There's always something.
Yeah. It's always like just 2 taps away to get something work related.
Yeah, I'm not convinced there's any, like, is there any such thing as fucking balance?
No,
not balance.
Because I don't know, like the irony is I see people that are way more successful than me and that I look up to and they seem like they have loads of balance, but is that just because they're at a certain point where they've now gone past that kind of trenches stage, or they just look like they do on the front of it, but actually they're fucking 18 hours a day all in?
I think you can get to a point where you're hands off in a business if that's what you want to do, but it's also like if you enjoy it. And I feel like people push the concept of balance because the people who do that usually don't enjoy what they do.
They hate their job.
So like I think there's an Alex Hormozi videos where he's like, I've come to the realization that I just love working. This video, which is just so him. He's too far because he did that thread about how he optimized finding his wife over how much he could work, which is a bit like.
It is true though, because like if you actually like what you do, what the fuck else are you gonna do? Go to the pub, like to celebrate what? I'm all for that now and then.
Yeah,
but like,
I think that separates someone, right? Because I feel like one of the biggest things, if you're like an entrepreneur, you work for yourself, you've got to learn to manage that stress. And I feel like people that genuinely love it are the ones that, you know, the cream rises to the crop, and the people that don't and can't handle that stress are the ones that genuinely don't. Because like you say, it's like it is your life.
Yeah, threshold for stress definitely has a big impact. I feel like if you have a high threshold for stress, it would be much easier to succeed in certain areas, especially like e-commerce. I feel like it's just naturally quite a stressful area.
Do you think that's something, I mean, it definitely is to an extent, but do you think that's something that you can train, or do you think you either have it or you don't?
What?
In
Stress
terms
or-
of like being able to work for yourself and be an entrepreneur and manage that stress?
I think you can manage it. I think some people are just predisposed to it way more than others. I think some people, I think it's, I feel like you almost can't manage it, but you've got the idea of like relativity is something you can have. So like if you've been a stupidly high stress moment, so like obviously you said about when you're running Neon Beach, it's probably going to take a lot to ever reach that sort of stress level again. So therefore everything else probably appears a little bit less stressful now in relative to that. I also think that some people can just like perspective is also big. Like if you actually take a step back from where you are, and that's something I think I'm quite good at. Is like compared to most people's problems, like the elements of some sectors of society, it's like you're still in a very, 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 very privileged position, even if it is high stress at that moment in time. And it's unrealistic. A lot of people I've spoken to, and quite a few people I know quite well actually, still run the business, even though they're doing stupid numbers, run it from this like mindset of everything could collapse tomorrow. And I think that's like in some ways that's good because it motivates you to go at like 1,000,000 miles an hour. But I also think that must be really, really draining on your mind to be like, oh, to have this like unrealistic thought that you're going to go from like this 1,000,000 a month to like nothing.
Well, I did.
Well, yeah, I guess you did. So your case,
So it can.
your case of how it can. But that was a very like
Extreme
case, and there was a lot of steps that led to that. I didn't just go from there to there.
It's really difficult because...
But then again, FTX did that in like 2 days ago. So like, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, generally, the longer something takes
It's
to
a
build, the longer it takes to crash.
Yeah.
Like a general rule.
I mean, we like spoken before when we did that pod about like gold medal syndrome and how we both suffered it from it before, in terms of like when you have this big goal in place. And again, I had that with one of my agencies this year, hit like a really big goal that we had, and then kind of had like a few months after of just quite demotivated because you'd hit that big target and, you know, it didn't give you that fulfillment that you thought it would. When you completed your marathon, did you have anything like that? Because I know that was like a huge goal that you'd had for a lot of the year. And
Literally,
then,
I reckon I almost obsessed more about that marathon than like any element of business I've ever. Like it was to the equivalent level. I don't know what, I built this story in my head about it so much, and like I'd literally listen to David Goggins like every day when I was training and shit, being like, I built this enemy in my head that didn't exist. It was like the man that wants me to fail.
Yeah.
No one gave a fuck, really. But like, and then like I knew a few other people doing it that should have got quicker times than me, but just broke. And I know someone that quit halfway and they've been going for a much quicker time. It's like they clearly can't deal with stress. So yeah, but that marathon, yeah, it was quite lit. But afterwards, I was just like, is that it? I mean, it's different, but it's like so tangibly relevant because that's just on a shorter time frame. It's like 5 months training or whatever. Now a bit of me kind of wants to do it again and go like sub 2:45 just because I know it'd be disgustingly difficult. But then I've kind of lost. Now it's done. It's like, am I as bothered? Whereas before I was like excited about it. Now it's more like I don't want to be fat again.
Yeah.
But yeah, there definitely was an element of that. I think there's an element of that with everything.
Yeah.
It's the dangerous thing about achieving anything.
The goalposts always move.
But yeah, I still think there's another level of elite mentality above that, where the people who have like smashed every record and keep going.
It's like Goggins.
Novak Djokovic is a good example as well. He's like a freak.
They're just sick in their head.
He's like best that just keeps going 35, not going to stop, just going to keep ripping every record there is. And he's just a mentality freak. And there are like, yeah, Goggins is another one. Ronaldo's another one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like the best in the game, you know.
They're like,
You got to be obsessed, and it's not healthy, but you need that. You need that like pure obsession. So did you were you when you'd completed that big goal, because it's always difficult, isn't it, when you've got a big goal and then it kind of ends and it's kind of like, what next?
yeah, what's your next one? You're going to do an ultra marathon next.
I was going to say,
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that, but then it's just like, it's not my life. Like, it can't take up to physically. I can't allocate that much time to it because it's not paying me. It's not my bigger goal. Like, obviously, my goal is way more on business, but I do want to have more physical goals.
Get your
now
marathon
it's
training
like-
in for product going.
Yeah, I mean, I fucking know. I definitely reckon I'm a better fitness coach than 99% of money Twitter fitness coaches. Name me no names. Like average rigs and like selling programs for like 400 quid a month and shit. But like, I'll just drop like a free fucking marathon training course. But yeah, what was I saying? I mean, a bit of me does want to do it again just because you got to have something to fucking chase that's off a screen, I suppose. And like, obviously business takes way longer than like training for a marathon. I suppose like the end goal of business. But then it's like, do I actually care about running that much? Not really. It was more just like to prove to myself that I could do it. And I did it. But it's definitely a confidence boost because like the principles you take from that apply to anything.
Yeah.
But then I already knew I could do it because I've done similar physical things in the past and shit. Not marathons, but like rowing. So like I knew I was a fucking pretty savage cunt when it comes down to it.
Yeah, that was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it was ruthless.
Not gonna lie.
That documentary was good. I think the confidence thing's definitely true. It's like when you set a goal and actually reach it. I feel like you build confidence by actually reach.
And discipline as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, confidence in yourself comes from like even if it's small things, like not making promises to yourself that you're not going to keep over and over and over again builds confidence.
Yeah, honestly, like I was so consistent with that training. I remember being in Marbella in September for like a random trip. And then everyone was like, oh, should we get beers and shit? And it was a fucking Sunday afternoon. And I said, well, I've got to go run 90 minutes on the treadmill first. So I went by myself to a gym 20 minutes away, ran on an incline treadmill for 90 minutes on a treadmill that is like torture. It's so boring. Just because I had to do it.
Yeah.
Because I knew that was one brick that wouldn't be laid otherwise. And like,
so deep in the
because I knew that sub 3 was in the bag before I did it. Because those things are earned long before you actually do the race.
Yeah.
In like all sporting endeavours, they're earned on like the fucking rainy Tuesday night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the winter training.
So, yeah, it's just consistency in it. And it's the same now. It's like I'll go to the gym because I know that that's what I do now. And like I always went to the gym, but like I want to train a certain way, get a run in, and that's just like you earn your fucking sleep at night almost. And it's the same with like work. You know if you've put a decent day's work in or not. And if you keep putting it off, you'll get nowhere. But if you keep stacking the bricks, you'll get somewhere. So,
yeah,
it's just principles, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So, like, fitness is a good one to start with. I think I don't really trust anyone that's never like trained hard. Like, genuinely, because if you can't do that, how can you do your job well or like build a business? I don't know. I think the mentality carries over.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Obviously, there's exceptions, but
that's again links back to the hiring thing that we said earlier. Like, hire for your mindset people. Like, you can't teach a mindset; you have to build it.
I would always hire like an ex-rower or something.
Yeah.
I just think there's probably a lot of examples of them where they're just always going to be on it, on time, disciplined.
Yeah, it's probably why I see a lot of ex-military people doing like cool business stuff as well. Like, obviously you got Jocko Willink, all the people he's mates with. There's same with I can't remember the bloke who from the UK who's pretty famous.
Chris Williamson.
Yeah, he used to go to Newcastle. He was a club promoter, not military.
Right.
Military. And that Ant guy who does.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a bit cringe, but like he's still like. You see a lot of military people who elite military people that obviously transfer pretty well into business, probably for the same reason that they've got the fundamentals of like ridiculously hard work and
just discipline,
mindset and discipline in place.
Yeah,
which transfers. Yeah, Chris Williamson's he's huge now. I didn't realize he's got massive.
He used to train at CrossFit Tyneside, didn't he?
Yeah, and he used to
be a promoter.
He used to stand on the door of. I can't even remember the bars now, but yeah, used to see him darting around.
Yeah, honestly, I think if anyone wants to fucking turn their life around, run a marathon and like do a quick one. Because like if you actually commit to doing it, and I reckon part of the reason I actually did it was because I said it publicly. That's why I made such a ridiculous claim. Every 1 minute I'll give $1,000 to charity. I was never planning on giving any money to charity because I knew I was going to go sub 3.
Yeah.
Like I raised a load of money, but like only because I said that publicly. If I'd never said that, if I never told anyone I was doing it, probably would have half-assed it. Yeah,
they say there's a big thing about like not talking about what you're trying to work on in business, but then that's kind of credence to the other idea of like tell people. So I feel like there's a line.
There is a line.
Because I think people who tell people probably try and go too big on like I'm gonna do like this mad thing and don't realize.
You just have to back it up. Depends on the sort of person you are. Yeah. Most people are just talkers.
I think it depends on the position you're in. I think there's probably people who get into like e-commerce and like I'm going to build £100 million brand, but don't realize how incredibly rare that is compared to like. Obviously, fitness is very different. It's all you.
That's what I liked about the running.
It's 100% you.
No other variable
business
really.
Maybe is a bit different because there's so many different variables that go into that. Maybe that is the big. That could be a big 75 hard push. Just like run a marathon. That 75 hard's pretty good.
I never did that.
It's quite good. It's the only thing that it is good. I've done it once.
Was it twice a day?
It's like it's Andy Frisella's like multiple different things that you do every day. It's basically to build discipline, but it's like 2 45-minute workouts. One has to be outside. Drink a gallon of water a day, read 10 pages a day. But it's not the actual act itself. It's more like just doing things that are inconvenient. The only thing that's difficult is it takes so long. But then I guess that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
It's like if you actually make it priority and make time for it, then it's like you just get into discipline, isn't it?
Taking you out your comfort zone.
Yeah. Maybe do you want to fancy running a marathon? We should do it. Maybe we should join you.
I definitely want to. I've done
I've got a place in London in April, which is the next one. It's confirmed. So I got a pre-qualified.
I'd like to do one. I just haven't
decided because if I'm going to go sub 2:45, I need to decide pretty soon if I'm going to commit to that or not.
How hard do you reckon it would be to shave that? How many minutes is that? It's
7 minutes.
Exponential, isn't it? Obviously, to get that 7 minutes.
I mean, if I could go sub 2:45 at 86 kilo, I reckon I'd be in the top 0.1% if you age. If you weight adjusted it. Yeah. Even my time at 87 kilo.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
That is
what
quick.
What do you have to average a kilometre?
For the time I did,
yeah,
or just quick
for
time?
the time you did.
4:05.
Yeah,
that's quick.
That's pretty fucking
So it's the same as doing a sub 21 minute 5k 8.5 times.
I think it's quick.
So for a sub 2:45, you need a 3:55. So it's like a 19-minute 5k times 8.
Fucking hell.
To give you an idea.
Yeah, it makes you realise how quick that. I can't remember.
Kipchoge.
Yeah, that's just
2:51 per kilometre.
Seen so many TikToks of him, people trying to hold his pace for 2 minutes, and it's just absolutely.
It's grotesque.
Not many people can do a sub 20 5k either.
Barely anything.
Yeah, it's like fucking.
That's harder than it
in
sounds.
In my absolute fucking prime, I think I did like 20 minutes 20, and I was like, I'm never gonna get below this.
I don't have that in my locker. If you put some trainers on me and went outside, I wouldn't do that now.
You
could very quickly though.
Yeah, you get.
I got down to like 17 minutes.
You build cardiovascular fitness and you lose it really quickly.
You do, yeah. I did that 35, 30, 10k, which shocked me because I didn't think I was a sprinter. I'd like to break 35 on 10k. I reckon if I was going to do sub 2:45, I'd need to do that, like 16:35k or something. So
quick.
I fancy trying a 5k and 10k soon, but I'm only running like 40k a week at the minute.
Still some decent yards.
I'm doing more like sprints on the treadmill, so it's more sprint focused, but it's more just like maintenance right now. But yeah, I definitely fancy fucking.
I think it's good to have a fitness or some sort of fitness goal.
I just feel and look better.
I think it's just, I think it's good to like have, like something like a marathon or like an event that ties your goal into something to keep you accountable to it. Yeah. I also think it's good to do them in groups. Seen people do that a lot recently. They'll do like group.
Yeah, that was the only thing with the running. It was such a lonely process. I was doing it all by myself. Pretty much all my training was solo, which is probably good for like hardening the fuck out of my brain, but it was just like a warpath. But no one else wanted to join me. So, yeah.
Not surprised when you looked at the video you put together that no one fancied that.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
What are your opinions on because again, it's a debate that goes around a lot. Focusing and dialing in, blinkers on with one business venture, or what a lot of entrepreneurs seem to do, and have a wandering eye and start something else and have several kind of plates spinning at the same time. Because I know that's something we've all had questions over in the past, that we've all diversified and maybe spread ourselves too thin. Yeah. But what are people's thoughts on that?
I think they have to be closely complementary. Yeah. I don't think you can be running a restaurant and an e-com brand.
I also think
I know someone that does that, quite literally. So that was a funny example.
I think it depends what stage you're at massively.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
How in the trench, how removed you are from one business, Obviously, if you still just spent more time on that business, it would still probably grow faster, regardless of if you remove from it or not. How complementary, how big the opportunity is, and how big the vehicle you're moving from is, and what oh god, you're right there, Chief.
I got a dodgy fucking throat.
So have I. I sound horrible. How big the opportunity is, whether it's complementary, I think like jumping from one agency, running two agencies is, like you say, is a lot easier in print just fundamentally than running two businesses at different. But there's a lot of people like, there's a guy called Andrew Wilkinson who I follow quite a lot who just acquires elements of businesses, and he's got everything from like a fucking bakery in his hometown, which he says is the hardest business he's ever run in his life, up until like this crazy like e-commerce aggregator for Shopify apps. He has so many different businesses, but obviously he's not involved in it to a level where he's really doing much. He just allocates funds and puts people in positions.
I think if you build the right systems and the right team in place, like like with Saw and the teams we've got around us, it's if you're in those early stages where you don't have that backup, it's very difficult. And people, I think that's where I see a lot of people struggling and failing when they pull back and spread themselves too thin too early with a venture that hasn't necessarily got to that stage yet to start focusing on something else, and then as a result the original business slips.
I think sometimes, I also think there's a element of, I think you probably had this when you were running Midnight City. Midnight City could have been massive if you just stuck at it and just focused on that.
Telling me.
It's crazy profitable through that summer.
Yeah.
But then Neon Beach was a massive vehicle and a huge opportunity. So it's like, you kind of stumbled on that. So it's like, and it was more of your passion.
I mean, you see people on Twitter, like they said they run like 35 econ brands or something. I just couldn't do it. I'd rather be like emotionally invested in one. I think you can have something like a podcast, because I debated that myself. Like, is a podcast too distracting? But then it's like, it's kind of still within the same realm because we're talking about similar shit. You get guests on that are in the world. I can learn from them. I
think as well for your personal brand, what that's done for you and the buy-in that your team have had, because you said a few of them found you through the podcast.
Yeah, then I just sat the podcast off and I was like, oh shit, maybe I should keep doing this.
Yeah, it has tangible benefits for hiring, definitely for you. Personal brand.
Yeah, 100%.
Because the people you find through that are going to be switched on already. Like, you're not going to find anyone.
They're bought into the vision. Like, they're bought into the roadmap.
Yeah, and investors and shit. Like, 2 of my investors now I met through the pod. And I reckon there could be plenty more. So I'm just going to start inviting everyone I want to invest in my business in the future. Get them on the pod. Get them a bit drunk. Warm them up. And then it's like the ultimate way to get to know someone. You spend 2 hours in a fucking room with them speaking. They get to see what you're about, and then you've documented it. So like, someone wants to know like more details about how I'm building the brand, just go and watch 25 episodes I put out.
Yeah.
Like, if they really want to know. So, and then beyond that, it's just in like 10 years time, you're fucking crooked to look back.
Yeah.
Because I look back at travel vlogs from like 4 years ago and I just think, fucking hell, glad I filmed that. Even though it's so pointless content-wise.
Yeah, you just forget about things. You just naturally, if you don't document.
Exactly.
Is that your employee on board and you just have them watch every single one of the videos? It's like 12 hours of just you talking to a computer screen.
Yeah, legit.
I think podcast and personal brand for you is very complimentary. I don't know if there's a right answer to that. I think it very much depends on like what your current business is, what the other opportunity is, what the upside and the other opportunity, which one you want to do. Like, a lot of people start a first business as a vehicle to get to a point where they can then pursue something they're actually passionate about.
Yeah, you just got to get in the game, innit?
Yeah.
Escape the matrix, get in the game.
Sorry.
Literally like most important step.
All very fucking ill.
I don't even feel ill. It's just like, I felt ill last week. My throat feels off.
I feel like
I can't speak properly.
I do feel like as well, what we've done with For You and having 4 people come together, you know, running the business together, obviously smaller piece of the pie, but different complementary skill sets that can all lead different parts of the business has meant we've been able to scale it way quicker.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's, you know, that old wise saying, I'd rather have a slice of the watermelon than a whole grape.
Yeah,
As I think.
classic. It's a classic saying. I can't remember where I heard that, but it's a classic saying.
But it opened my eyes because obviously you and Joe had Saw together, and obviously you know, both different skill sets. You've been able to build that together, and I'd always, with Hammy Media, it'd always been just me, and it's definitely, as a solo founder, more difficult in that sense, and it was always something that I'd kind of craved to have.
Yeah, I quite like having co-founder. You were originally very anti co-founder, weren't you? You were for ages, but then I get you probably not. Yeah, you're not like you're not gonna have a co-founder now, but I guess you've got people on board who have got the right skill sets. It's just got to be that thing, like you say, complementary. There's no point in having someone involved if they don't bring things.
Yeah, I just don't think I would have
exactly.
worked that well with people at the start. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think the setup now is kind of ideal because I've still got way more equity than I would have from day one as a co-founder, but I've got loads of experienced mind and more money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the investors are my co-founders in a way. I just have to do the legwork.
Yeah, just
So, yeah, it's pretty ideal now. But yeah, I didn't want to be the only person involved in a business after the last business because that was fucking lonely.
yeah, and also it shortcuts your learning and shortcuts the outcome if you've got someone who's already done it, or like someone who's already in an investor situation. Definitely, that's very different to a co-founder, I guess. Co-founder, if you're starting something, could come from a place of pretty low experience, like me and Joe did, but have like more like fundamental skills that lend yourself to focusing on one area. Whereas for an investor, it's obviously most of them have already trodden the path, or have some like learning experience from a previous venture that shortcuts what you're doing, which I think is massive. But then some firms get investments from, obviously, always wondered how those investment relationships higher up, where they just chuck you a load of money and leave you to it, what that's like, and don't actually get that involved, because there's some firms approach it like that.
I guess it depends though, doesn't it? It's like it's two objectives, I guess, of an investor. It's like cash injection, or, well, obviously that for both sides, but also just experience and expertise in a certain field, which I think is probably more, as well as the cash injection, what you were looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want anyone to invest that wasn't a value add. I mean, especially at that early stage, it's kind of maybe fairly niche because I had a really good network, so it was like easy to like raise money. I suppose now with this new funding round I'm looking at doing, and kind of I'm in the process of doing, like, it's way harder because I'm going to people I don't know to get money. I mean, in a lot of cases they've already come to me and there's been like interest and shit, but then it's like speaking to like private equity funds and shit, which I've always been interested in anyway, and it's just it's different because they're not, it's not their own money, they're managing other people's money, and there's a lot more red tape, and like it's much bigger ticket, and they would probably be more hands off in most cases. But yeah, I mean, there's an argument to say try and avoid that for as long as possible. But some people say that, but other people say, well, if you're gonna fucking raise money, just go big, just get a fund involved and just commit to the fucking cause.
I think it's how you use it's more important. You see some companies that raise a lot of money then start doing like classic, I'm gonna spend money on stuff
Like fast checkout, raise 100 mil.
That's the problem.
And they like hired Coldplay or some shit.
just start using it in
And they went
stupid
bankrupt.
ways.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's been so many layoffs. It's pretty crazy how many people Elon Musk cut from Twitter. It still works.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the whole leftist, that's wrong bullshit. It's a fucking business.
It's like if you compared how many people, I think they had 7,000 people, something like that. But then you compare it to like how many people, I looked into how many people WhatsApp and Instagram have on their staff, for the amount of users they have. They had like similar or so, in some case higher user bases with like 10-fold less staff. And it's just like, what were all those people doing?
Zuck's just cut a load as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he just cut a load, but he's focusing on fucking VR, AR, like...
He's a lizard.
He is a lizard. He's just pivoted his focus to something that's not even like a thing yet.
I really don't understand so anyone can get a subscription now to the blue tick on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I mean, I
Makes
got
no
it because
sense.
it's just funny. But now it's like, I don't actually know who's the legitimate version of someone.
That's what I mean. That's what it kind of takes all legitimacy out of what the verification was.
Yeah, I think it's a weird one because like if you did that on Instagram, it wouldn't mean shit now, would it? I think Instagram is always higher value anyway as a blue tick, but yeah, it is interesting. It's kind of funny. Everyone's got blue ticks. What's the point
I
of
didn't
one?
buy it yet.
I bought it just because
He rolled it back, didn't he? Because there was all those impersonations. Did you see the one?
That's what I mean. How can you stop that?
Well, because he's gonna. I think he's gonna change the colour. The reason he rolled it back wasn't because people were impersonating like president.
there was some company
It was
and it
'cause
changed the stock price.
someone went on, bought the blue tick, pretended to be this medical company which produced insulin in America, and tweeted
Insulin's free.
insulin's free, and it wiped $9 billion off the stock price.
And they probably shorted it.
in like 20
Fucking
minutes.
hell. Yeah, they definitely would
And
have
they really
shorted
shorted it and made loads of money, so obviously he's had to
Fuck.
pull it back. I think there was another case of the same. I can't remember what the other company was, but that's like absolutely crazy impact from one tweet. He also did that poll to like Donald Trump back on the platform.
Yeah,
the
I
other
think
day.
that's
There was-
fair. Like
he
you
was
can't be
back
free
on.
speech and not let people on.
Yeah,
Someone impersonated Tony Blair as well.
yeah,
Didn't
I
they?
saw that. He won't let Alex Jones back on though, which is I think after that court case is Rob's fair.
Yeah, it's like
It's-
conspiracy level shit.
Sued so hard, but yeah, that I don't. Obviously, he made it. But I think it's not far off profitable now. I don't think as a company it was nowhere near. Or I haven't read into it enough to know, and I don't want to say something that makes me like an idiot. So I'm not gonna delve into it. But I think with that and then getting rid of loads of people, it's not far off, like balancing, at least, which it wasn't previously, or I didn't think it was. I guess that's another thing for stress. He must be pretty stressed. It probably puts you into context of like how.
Yeah, I mean, he must just fucking love it though.
Yeah, I don't know how he can want to do.
Guy
like,
doesn't sleep.
Yeah, he must be so unhealthy.
You see that fucking picture of him on
Yeah.
that yacht? Literally, guy hadn't seen sunlight in 20 years.
The rig pitch. Yeah.
Gonna go to Mars and
Because
just
I
shrivel.
saw on the Joe,
Yeah.
I forgot who it was on Joe Rogan, but they were like, when you see someone like that, invest the fuck into his brands because you know he does not sleep and he does not go outside.
Yeah. That's. Yeah.
And then he's like, then you see Bezos like all looking all fucking bulky and tanned.
I thought it was quite funny that Gary. Do you know Gary Vee? Obviously, used to be mad.
He's got a dank new wife.
He used to be
Yeah.
mad family oriented. I think
Yeah.
that's just so funny. Like he pushed this massive narrative of like family
Yeah, it's
man, family
interesting
man,
that.
family man.
It
Got
is
to this point
interesting.
of just being absolutely wadded, sacked her off, and just married some new.
To be fair though,
It's
you
like-
never know what went on there.
Yeah, you
dunno.
don't. It's just like just interesting.
But
It's-
it's true.
say one thing, do something else. It's just funny. Yeah, Bezos is shredded. Bezos is shredded. Amazon's
Get rich, get
Amazon's a bit of a
shredded.
nightmare at the moment as well. I've heard a lot.
You can't add stock there or some shit.
Yeah, they have their own like freighting service, and they're the only freights that don't have to wait in these mad queues. So loads of people have struggled to get stock into warehouses for Q4.
I'm trying to send stock from Amazon back to the warehouse right now because I've not got enough stock for Black Friday. But then I found out I sent 2,000 back from Amazon, but it takes 30 days. I thought it'd be 2
Fuck.
days. So now it's basically pointless, but once you've submitted the order, you can't stop it.
Really?
So I've now just basically deleted 2,000 pieces of stock from Amazon. So we're going to sell out on Amazon now and not have any more stock in the warehouse.
That's such a stupid move.
Have
Yeah.
you found that move to Amazon?
Yeah, I'd never done Amazon at all before. I mean, it's doing like 20 grand a month, like semi-organically now. So spending like 50 quid a day on ads,
That's pretty good.
like PPC. But it's just building the reviews. It's got like 35 reviews now, 4-star plus. I think it needs to be like 4.8 plus really, but just another channel. I was hesitant to do it, but it's a much more profitable channel. But yeah, I think it'll always be second to the website because you can't do subscription on it.
Can't do any post marketing, can you? You can't put any inserts in the packaging. You're not allowed to do.
Why
Yeah.
can't you do subscriptions on it?
I think you can for some. I don't know if it's being like a new brand or what, but I can't do it right now.
No, you can't. Yeah, you can buy. You can definitely do repeat purchase because you get the option when you.
Yeah,
order,
you
like,
do get the
supplements, but
option.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on my listing right now.
Maybe you have to go through like some sort of approval process. It's just such a monster that like being on that platform. It's just so big. The
Yeah, I
volume.
guess the only thing is it's like more stock management, but yes, 35 reviews. Yeah. Oh wait, it has got subscribe and save, but it's the same price. Maybe I need to do something about this.
There's a revenue opportunity for you there.
Yeah, wait a minute, that's weird. But no, it's all right. I think it's good to have multi-channels to some extent.
Yeah.
Like that and then retail potentially, which I'm looking at.
Where would you target for retail?
Well, Holland and Barrett approached me like 2 months into the brand.
Really?
I'm speaking to them a bit,
That's
but
quick.
then they've just been super slow on like anything. So I think that would be massive scale. I just don't necessarily think it aligns with where I want to take the brand. But at the same time, if they fucking wanted to do 5 million quid a year, I'd probably say yes. So
I think
it's
you'd
like,
stand out off shelf.
I was going to say, it's
Yeah.
a product that would do well in retail.
Yeah, I think you'd do really well.
I feel like Selfridges or something would be cool to do, but it's not going to make money. Like
you don't go
it's
into
purely just a
Selfridges.
brand thing.
Yeah,
So and dirtier in there. So
going for
might
it.
have to change that.
I've seen a lot of their ads recently, actually.
Yeah, let's go. There's no pink lights and no fucking red wine.
And a lot of Black Friday chaos going on.
Yeah,
a few
Christ.
colds.
And a few colds.
It's just a somber atmosphere. isn't it?
I thought we'd kick into gear, but it just never really happened.
It's a corporate atmosphere there. I'm just not used to it. I'm used to the pink lights and like the fucking red wine mood. I think that is the vibe that gives the Midnight Pod
It's true.
that unique energy. Whereas most pods are like this. They're just corporate, fucking
Maybe this will
sober.
be archived footage that never gets released after.
Maybe.
After
We'll have a look
live
back
we've
at
just
it.
gone through for the hour and a
depends.
half. You could bring red wine in here. It's definitely a red wine vibe.
You definitely could. I think doing them at night time as well is a vibe. Like, it's kind of more vibey now it's dark.
I was discussing this the other day in terms of like, I feel like there's a 50-50 split in business as well between business owners who are like fully straight edge, don't drink, don't do anything.
Yeah.
Don't like go out, don't do like anything. And then there's the other 50% who just seem really loose. When I've been to these like
That is true.
events, like there's no middle ground to be found.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if you get maybe the red wine attracts a certain type and turns away others.
I do think you get into a nicer flow of conversation as well. It's just
100%.
just gives you that
It's
fucking...
like going on a date, innit? It's the same
yeah,
shit.
exactly.
Like wine is just, yeah, it's just the right vibe in it. Red wine and pink lights. Fuck, it's kind of deep. This is the first episode ever when there's been no red wine or pink lights. It's the shittest episode we've done.
You just put that in the bin. You're just dragging the file straight to the bin there.
I've just received the Dream Dust studio shoot images.
What's your immediate thoughts?
I haven't looked at them yet. They're probably fucking good, so they'll be good. It was a fat shoot as well.
the ones you did in the
50
kitchen?
things. Nah, so I'm still waiting on that. This is website, like, still imagery sort of shit. But, oh yeah.
You said
Fucking
you're
hell. First
you're
impressions.
renting I can't even say the name of it.
Ooh.
What's the
A
car?
DeLorean,
Yeah,
DMC. So
From,
unnecessary.
from Back to the Future.
Shall we
That
look at
car.
these images? Fucking hell, they're nice. Actually, I won't be able to show you because I have to turn it around. First impressions, though, they're fucking nice.
A mansion in a DeLorean. That's a proper space good shoot.
Yeah, I mean, people would say it's like unnecessary, but I think long term it's actually not, because who the fuck does that? In short,
Where's the mansion?
it's in Kensington.
How much is that? How much is
It's
that?
not actually that
saying?
much. It's like 600 quid for 4 hours.
That's not bad at all.
It's not like that whole
For business
first shoot
expense.
cost 3.5 grand, and people thought I spent 50 grand on it. So I'm not retarded. It's just like resourceful and using good people that over deliver and undercharge. And these images look fucking good, to be fair. I'll have to show you after.
What? Yeah, I do think you got to play into the longer term vision of the brand. Like, just how far can you take it? What's like you're shooting? You're doing 10 mil a month. What's your shoot level going to be then?
Well, I literally think this could become like a Netflix franchise.
Well, I remember when you said that on the pod. I think that's a fucking sick idea.
Like, honestly, this second movie that we're doing, it's like so crooked in the sense that there's so many Easter eggs and shit, and it links to real life. And I'm featuring in it, by the way, like, as a character. And I'm getting a custom, well, not custom, but we're getting a leather jacket, and we're printing the logo on the back. And I've got like fake tattoos and shit.
Like the drives.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Jacket.
based on that.
Yeah.
So, and then a fucking DeLorean, which is just completely unnecessary. But that was on the ad at the start of the first movie.
Right. Okay.
So this is the shit that gets me gas. It's like just an excuse to literally make a movie.
Yeah.
But it's also just like unique as fuck. I've literally never seen a supplement brand ever do something to this extent.
Yeah. It's
And that's probably because it doesn't make money. But
do things that others won't do though. I think it's because your brand is inherently creative. Like the way you've positioned it allows you to do this and just to, like justify and also probably help your performance and attract more customers.
Can you not maximise that creative though, and actually contextually convert it into ads and
Yeah, probably
organic
more,
and
probably
things
more
like
than we
that.
currently have done. I don't know if that's. I think probably doesn't work as well, in short. But
Did you run the other one as a YouTube video? As a YouTube ad?
we actually haven't. But I feel like we should. It's like it's very top of funnel.
What would work well though? Have you seen those ads that they're working really well in UGC at the moment? It's where it's someone green screened over a piece of higher production creative, so it's still
Yeah.
native to TikTok, and they're reacting to that creative. And it's like, have you seen this brand kind of thing? Obviously, stronger hook than that, but that could work because you're
Yeah,
taking
definitely.
that higher production content and making it more native to the platform.
Fuck, these images are cool.
Just segued away from the podcast and just give it up at this point, haven't you?
So what? To wrap up, then, I guess I'll take over.
Yeah, you take over. There's only one professional in the room.
Yeah.
What's the goal now of the pod? What's changing?
Yeah,
what can
you-
people at home expect?
Better than this, better energy.
Well, I think we need pink lights and red wine, or just at least pink lights, some form of mental stimulus, which this episode hasn't had as much, and better mics. But I think it's just people liked. I think everyone got pissed off when it wasn't econ people. Like it was like a fairly cult like UK econ podcast, and people still comment like it was the greatest econ podcast of all time and shit. And I do agree, but just need to be consistent with it.
Yeah.
I think the uniqueness was the rawness of it compared to a lot of fluff that's out there. Even if they're like more impressive fluff, it's still fluff. So yeah, I think it's like we said about like gold medal syndrome. It's like, oh, I did an episode a week pretty much for a year. That's what I said I'd do, and then I got like, can't be arsed now. But then it's like, fuck it. The people want it. There's a lot of good guests. It's just consistency in it, and just doing it regularly, and also getting co-hosts on and mixing it up, which will probably take some getting used to, but definitely think it's worth doing.
So you're going to go more of like a topical route then, to talking to someone about their life story?
I think both. I think you need both.
I think it depends. If they're new, you want to probably do a bit of both. I think if you're going to do topical, I think consistency is the key, and not needing to have a guest on every single one of them. You need to have regular people that you can fall back on, because it's quite a heavy admin, and it's also hard to always guarantee. But then I don't know. I think you did pretty well at it the last time. It's probably doable again. But then obviously if it's someone new, you want to kind of know about them as a person. So I think it's worth digging into the backstory and a bit about what they do, but then maybe dive down other routes as well. Consistency, you just need to stay consistent at it.
Same with anything in life, isn't it?
It got so exponential. I think it gets so exponential if you just stuck at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've given up here, haven't we? Pretty much. This is a good 2 hours not getting back.
2 hours not getting back. No, it's a decent little warm-up episode. Was I recording? Oh yeah, it was good. 75 minutes. Yeah, sweet. But it's because I wasn't really sure who the host was. Because I'm so used to being the host, and I was letting you take the reins a bit, but then we didn't really plan it. It was completely freestyle. And all the mics were a fucking shambles. But I remember doing the first episode originally that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing with the mics and shit, and then you just quick pick it up in it. It's like the same as anything. So I think with that said, on that bombshell, subscribe to the pod. Plenty more coming soon. Better quality, bigger guests, more consistent content, and we'll see you on the next episode. Fuck, no, let me say that again. Swallow my own fucking, choking on my own spit. Subscribe to the pod, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers for watching. Peace.